I'd like to share with you a true story about a high school student. His high school teacher gave the students this homework saying, describe in writing a time in your life when you became a good Samaritan to someone. One of his students responded to that assignment in this way. In the summer before I entered high school, our parish planned a day for the elderly and the handicapped at a local hospital. The sea of wheelchairs and patients overwhelmed me. At first, I saw only wheelchairs. Then I happened to notice someone in a wheelchair staring at my legs. That did it. The student became very angry at God and totally confused at seeing so much pain in one place. He was more lonely than any of those patients. It seemed that he was the one who needed help, not them. Then he realized God loved these people in a special way. So he returned to the place where all these patients, elderly and handicapped people gathered. And he began to do everything possible to make them happy. And by merely talking to them, he was able to glow a lot of their faces that afternoon. He then said, but of all the faces I made glow, one face stood out above all the others. I will never forget that face. It was my own face. I never felt so good about myself. I never felt so happy in my life. Dear friends, this story fits in beautifully with today's readings, especially when Jesus talks to his disciples after they had argued among themselves who was the greatest. Recognizing this situation and seeing the need for instruction, Jesus took the official position of a rabbi. He sat down and began to teach his disciples. He got right to the point and said, if anyone wishes to be first, he shall be the last of all and servant of all. Service is the key characteristic of true followers of Christ. Service that is an attitude as well as an action for every Christian. Authentic relationship does not seek power. It does not seek honor, prestige, or greatness. Actually, the true greatness comes from humble service. This brings us to an important point that Jesus is making in today's gospel. That high school students' remarks show what service can do to someone who helps others. It makes their faces glow even more than those who are being helped. And the reason for this is very simple. It is because in the process of helping others, they discover where Jesus is really present in this world. He is very much present among the vulnerable and defenseless people of our society. That is why the Lord said to his followers in Matthew chapter 25, I was hungry and you gave me food. I was thirsty and you gave me drink. Whatever you did for one of the least of my brothers and sisters, you did for me. In this way, Jesus shows us that God's idea of greatness is much different from ours, the ideas of the world. And so, greatness in Jesus' view is found only in our willingness to accept and serve others, those who are vulnerable and marginalized in our society. And we must do that with love and compassion for the sick, for the poor and needy. In doing so, we must be willing to face many challenges that may come along, like putting ourselves at last, becoming servant of all, and expecting nothing in return. Mother Teresa was a perfect example of this. She used to tell her own sisters this: be the living expression of God's kindness through humble service to others. Dear friends, I'd like to share with you a few words of Dr. Albert Schweitzer. Dr. Albert was one of the great missionaries of our modern world. At the age of 30, Albert gave up his successful music career as a concert pianist for the rich and elite people of Europe. He was very popular, very successful person, but he wanted to become a missionary doctor. His goal in life was to serve the poor people in Africa. After serving them for many years, toward the end of his life, Dr. Albert said this: I don't know what your destiny will be, but one thing I know. The only ones of you who will be really happy in life are those who sought and found a way to serve others. Let me repeat the last point. The only ones who will be really happy in life are those who found a way to serve other people.